Chapter 4, Business Level Strategies. I'll bet you guys are pretty happy to be out of Chapter 3. When we talk about business strategy, we basically talk about strategies at two different levels. The first is the corporate level, or the overarching. Those strategies are different than business level strategies. Business levels are generally set up as product lines. So for General Motors, for example, we have GMC, Chevy, Buick, and Cadillac. So each of those has a different business level strategy. Michael Porter determined that at the business level, they're based on generics. They're based on competitive advantage, or how you compete, the attributes on which you compete. The first is price, and everything else, which is called features or attributes. On the other side, we have market size, a broad market meant to appeal to a lot of people, and a niche market. Okay, if we compete on price and broad market, then we follow what's called a low cost leadership. And we'll get into each of these and the details on them shortly. If we compete on broad market with features, then that's called differentiation. That's the most common of the 5 strategies. If we have a niche market and compete on price, we call it focused low-cost leadership. And just to keep things from getting totally confused, if we compete on features, we call it focused differentiation. Now, there's one group who tries to compete somewhere between low-cost leadership and differentiation. We call it a hybrid or best value strategy. Strategy people often call it stuck in the middle. What about low-cost leadership? All right. It's based on price in a broad market. It's basically a no-frills strategy. We're looking to give you the best price possible. It's based on an efficient value chain. For example, we take advantage of economies of scale. We try to operate facilities at full capacity. We substitute low cost for high cost materials. We use a lot of information technology for reporting, operating, logistics. We have and try to develop a very high bargaining power with our suppliers. We outsource whenever we can. So those kinds of things. When does it work best? Well, when there's an intense price competition, when components are cheap, when products are identical or close to identical, when there are low switching costs, when there are few ways to differentiate. And a big one is when buyers have high power. Some examples are the most obvious: Walmart, McDonald's, incredibly enough, and IKEA. This is something that you have to remember. Just because a company has a lower price than its rivals does not mean it's following a low-cost leadership strategy. As a matter of fact, mostly if a company has lower prices than its rivals, it's following a hybrid strategy. If you can put anything else with it, well, their prices are low, but they have good customer service. Well, customer service means that they are not competing on price because they're paying for that customer service. Differentiation is based on features in a broad market. The difference between two products or two brands could be real or imagined. They don't have to be the same. And some people get very tense about those differences. Real differences could be this one comes with a remote and that one doesn't. The difference could just be customer loyalty, the brand recognition. It could be that people think one tastes better than the other. So the differences that you're trying to base your differentiation on don't have to be real. That's why we have marketing people. Differentiation is based on a quality value chain instead of an efficient value chain. That does not mean that they don't try to make their value chains efficient. It means that they focus more on quality. And we can see things like high product R&D, production R&D, technology for production, manufacturing quality, and input quality, outbound logistics quality. Generally, you see very high marketing and sales and customer service in a differentiation strategy. When does it work best? Well, when buyer needs and uses of the product are diverse. There are a lot of ways to differentiate, and the buyer sees value in those differentiations. And very few of the rivals have the same differentiation approach. The more approaches there are, the more that can be used. And it's also super when we're talking about a very fast paced industry where products are constantly evolving. Some examples of differentiation are Dr. Pepper, who differentiates on taste, Federal Express, who differentiates on service, and 3M, who differentiates on technology leadership. Differentiation is basically the ability to command a premium price or a higher price for the product or service based on the features. Focused low cost leadership. They deal basically with price and a narrow market or a niche market. And the reason that it would be a niche market could be geographic, it could be that it's extremely specialized, it could be an overlooked market, or it could just be because they don't have the resources to have a very broad market. Otherwise, it's just the same as the low cost leadership. Some examples are Alaska Air, they're limited by geographics. The dollar store, they have a limited market based on income. And Kia just has a limited number of offerings. Focused differentiation is on features and a niche market. And again, the same reasons. Geographic, they're specialized, they have overlooked markets and lack of resources. Other than that, it's the same as differentiation, quality. Some examples, Rolex, they differentiate on prestige based on income. Mercedes, quality based on income. Harvard, quality and exclusivity based on income. Last, let's talk about the hybrid. Hybrids are often called stuck in the middle. When you look at the value chain activities of a low cost leader and a differentiated strategy, you'll notice that they're at odds with each other, low cost versus quality. And a hybrid or best value strategy is considered to be stuck in the middle because it's not really good at either one. Now, some companies go out of their way to be stuck in the middle or a hybrid strategy and do very well at it. Many companies find themselves stuck in the middle accidentally. They're competing and they feel like they need to lower their price. Their proposition basically is the best value for the money. When does it work best? When differentiation is normal. Most people are using a differentiation strategy, but customers are very price sensitive. Some examples are Toyota, who compete on design and price. They do well. Target, who competes with service and selection and price, and they do very well. Sears and Kmart, not so hot. Acura and Continental Airlines, not so hot. Okay, so let's look at our levels again. We have General Motors. GMC is basically General Motors' low-cost leader. Chevy is a hybrid, but leaning toward the low-cost leadership. Buick is a differentiation, and Cadillac is focused differentiation.